Hello and Assalamu alaikum Radio fam. I am Mohammed Fahad for the first time and I'm very excited to beginning this series of episode and we'll be diving into the realm of technology, putting our focus in artificial intelligence. In today's episode, I am honored to have one of our very esteemed guests. एक शख्सियत जिसकी कोई तारीफ की मोहताज नहीं. Completing his education in computer science in JK, not only is he celebrated as a founder of CodeNinja, but is also known to have represented Pakistan on the global stage. He's a member at the Forbes International Technology Council and a contributor at the Harvard's Business Review Council. So, before we dive into the compelling topic of AI and agentic AI to be specific, let's first understand the thought process and the leadership that shaped your journey. Umar, let's start off with education. What brought you to computer science back in 2007 or 8?
Thank you for this introduction. I mean, of course, I think before we go into the education, I'm just an entrepreneur. I'm just trying to build things at this stage. It looks very good, Forbes and Harvard and all that. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to solve some important problems.
Right.
And thank you for the introduction. Now coming back to the computer science, मैंने तो सोचा नहीं था कि मुझे computer science में जाना है. At the time जब मैंने graduate किया, I was from FSC background.
Right.
तो उस वक्त ये था कि I had to choose के university choose करूँ या degree choose करूँ. So I could go into engineering, into like some higher program, to be honest, like electrical or mechanical. मैं mechanical engineering करना चाहता या मैं university choose कर लेता. So I preferred कि नहीं मुझे university अच्छी चाहिए. So I thought कि I would go into JK and then I would do CS. So that CS was not my choice. I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. उस वक्त मैं जब मैं JIK में गया उस वक्त भी पहला साल में इसी में लगा रहा कि मैं अपनी डिग्री को चेंज करूं. I wanted कि मैं एक साल के बाद मैं मैकेनिकल में चला जाऊं, डब्ल्यू में चला जाऊं, लेकिन नहीं जा सका. And I was not a very good student in CS. जो लोग मुझे जानते हैं close, I had lots of probations मेरी बहुत आई. I was not at all a good CS student. So CS was like कि मुझ पे impose ही की गई. Right. Because I had to graduate from JK. That was the starting point. I was not a good programmer. Never been a good programmer in JK. So that was the starting point. जब मैं JK में गया, लेकिन JK में जाने के बाद मुझे ये हुआ कि I've seen JK की engineering, computer science भी. I mean, I used to study materials. पहले 2 कोर्स में materials के पढ़े. Physics बहुत ज़्यादा थी. Hardcore engineering थी. You used to talk with EE people, mechanical, materials and management, all those people. So I had a lot of sense what's going on there. और वहाँ से फिर मेरा एक स्ट्रक्चर बना के I was exposed to so many different things. So I thought कि probably by the 3rd year I finally want to start my business.
Right.
And I probably क्योंकि मेरे पास I could stitch things together from a lot of different areas. I knew how to build a product, how to build a service, how to say, but it's not like code or software, but something that in intersection of जहाँ पे software भी हो, जहाँ पे हार्डवेयर रिलेटेड भी चीज हो, फिजिकल वर्ल्ड भी हो, थिंग्स लाइक दैट. और बाय एंड ऑफ द year, final year, I started pitching my ideas, doing things in different platforms and so that was the starting point. More like कि मैंने business तो करना है, it's not like कि मैं CS का बहुत बड़ा champion था और बहुत कोड. I think अगर आप bottom से लें तो people would be, मैं नीचे से दूसरे तीसरे नंबर पे होंगे, and people who are listening to this और जो मुझे जानते हैं they would say कि हाँ यार ये बिल्कुल ऐसा सही था. So that was the starting point जब मैंने JK से कंप्यूटर की 2011.
Blessing is guys, as we say, and now we are a part of a multi-billion-dollar company. Is there any society that you joined back in JK the old days? Anything you liked about it?
I tried to join few societies, but I think मैंने एक हमारी society थी ACM, और there was a society called CDES. मुझे लगा कि मैं उसमें ज्वाइन करेंगे, बट मेरा GPA इस तरह था कि इन्होंने लेट मी इन. So that's the truth. So नहीं करने दिया मुझे. So मैंने ज्वाइन नहीं किया.
अच्छा, so what was your starting point? What's the first business idea that you actually pitched?
So मैंने actual में business 2011 में जब मैं graduate हुआ तो मैंने I had to do the job. मैंने कहा कि चलो मैं वो business वाला, लेकिन let's see how the money works.
Job ले पैसे कमाए, फिर invest करे.
JK was very expensive, still very expensive.
Yes.
तो आप लोग LUMS के हो, तो LUMS is very expensive for some students. अगर आप scholarship पे नहीं पढ़े, so JK में भी it was expensive. I just wanted to do the job. Okay, but I wanted to do साइड में कुछ करता रहूं. So जब मैं नेटसोल में चला गया, it's a great company. मैं फिर एक ही कंपनी में 8-9 साल रहा हूं.
अच्छा माशाल्लाह.
लेकिन in 2011 I started my first idea as well, Jobbox के नाम से, jobbox.pk. It was more of like a recommendation platform कि अगर आपको आप किसी बड़ी कंपनी में रिकमेंड कर रहा है, you get paid off. So I've seen this happening in NetSol. यार इसमें तो एक आइडिया निकलता है. So I started to work on that with a couple of other guys, but it failed terribly. So I figured out a few things.
The failures are part of life and it brings you somewhere.
हाँ, लेकिन वो फेल हो गया 2012 के अंदर. 2012 I closed Jobbox. साथ साथ NetSol चला था. Then I started few other things. I launched a fashion brand, Brendo. I've done a lot of startups.
Very diverse.
लेकिन it's very important. You know what? The real breakthrough happened when I left NetSol. When I left the job, and then that was when real breakthrough. When actually I started building a business.
So you completely dedicated yourself after leaving your job to a sole business.
8 साल में करता रहा हूँ. I started Jobbox, then I started Brendo. It was a fashion brand. Then I started Clipda. Clipda was a very serious effort. It was like cloud kitchen platform था. And I tried a lot कि यार ये successful हो, but नहीं हो सका. I was doing a lot of work for Clipda. मैं खुद होम डिलीवरीज करता रहा हूँ 2 साल. कोई ऐसा मेरा ख्याल है मेडिकल कॉलेज नहीं है. मैंने मेडिकल कॉलेजेस गए, यूनिवर्सिटीज गई, जहाँ पे मैं खुद डिलीवरीज नहीं करता था, खुद ही करता था. सुबह 6-7 बजे तक मैं NetSol में रहता था और 7 बजे से रात 1-2 बजे तक मैं डिलीवरीज करता था. और उसमें फिर सहरी, मतलब इट्स हाउ हार्ड इट वुड बी टू डू द डिलीवरीज इन सहरी. मैं सहरी लोगों को सहरियां देता था. और मेरा ख्याल है मैं 2 साल देता था. विद द होप कि हम प्लेटफॉर्म बिल्ड कर रहे थे अपना साथ साथ. I just wanted to have a real time view कि लोग मेरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे आए, वो आए और मैं देखूं. हमारे पास थे डिलीवरी बॉयज जितने हम अफोर्ड कर सकते, बट मैं खुद कर रहा था. So that was a Clipda, लेकिन नहीं चल सका. Clipda नहीं चला.
Well, not everything is destined to work, but it brings you somewhere, like I said. Clipda के बाद again you took very bold and visionary steps and you decided to challenge very standard practice in the tech world. Computer science back in the day, again, like I said, wasn't a very booming concept as it is right now. What brought you to CodeNinja? Could you share an overview of the company?
So CodeNinja के जो मुख्तार, he's a friend, जो CEO है अभी, he actually left NetSol in 2015 and started CodeNinja. तो हम उसके साथ काम कर ही रहा था मैं, but not as like a full time as a co-founder and all that. I was just working with him while I was working with other things. So 2020 में उसने देखा कि यार I've been doing, और 2019 में मैंने NetSol छोड़ दी थी full time. I was all in for Clipda. जब मैंने NetSol छोड़ी, I sold my car. It's very important. So Adil, जो मैं Clipda में I brought my company, is my batchmate. So technical co-founder Adil था. I sold my car. मैंने उसके 10 लाख रुपए Adil को ट्रांसफर किए. उसे कहा आप आ जाओ, हम 5 months के लिए सेफ हैं. And we were so focused on Clipda कि यार we'll make it a success. क्योंकि मुझे लग रहा था कि we can. So it's, I mean, everything was covered. फिर एक तो Clipda वैसे नहीं चला, फिर COVID आ गया. लेकिन उस वक्त ये थे कि then there was no job. There was no Clipda. And then Mukhtar reached me out. I mean, we were working with him, but he said कि यार तुम CodeNinja में आ जाओ.
ठीक है.
And we came to CodeNinja as a retrospective co-founder. He said, I mean, and retrospective co-founder is a term. So back then में जाके now you are a co-founder, but at actual minute, to set the record straight, Mukhtar is the founder of the company. Right? He built the company. He took that first step. जब उसने NetSol जोड़ी थी and all that. But when we came to CodeNinja in 2020, फिर वहाँ से ये था कि CodeNinja उससे पहले एक आप कह लें कि it was more of a digital marketing stuff. And we figured it out कि हम digital marketing दूसरों के लिए कर रहे हैं. We were hardcore engineers. मैं Adil. We changed CodeNinja from like digital marketing to purely software and AI company 2020 because that's what we do. और वही digital marketing जो हम दूसरों के लिए कर रहे थे, that is now at the center of what अपना business generate करें, वही अब अपने लिए करते हैं. So that's the center. That's our secret sauce by the way. कि वही हम, that's what works for us. हमारा business जो आ रहा है वहाँ से आ रहा होता है. So that we started कि हम फिर इकट्ठे फिर CodeNinja में फिर start हुए. Now CodeNinja में जो founding team है उसमें marketeers हैं और engineers हैं. That's how it is. 2020 में. But it was like कि आने के बाद ये नहीं है कि CodeNinja we had some successes. There were, I mean, CodeNinja की अपनी जर्नी है. ये सिर्फ कहता है कि how did we integrate? मैं और Adil integrate into CodeNinja 2020 में.
Right. So I think it's very important the point you raised that एक company सिर्फ tech या एक sole purpose के लिए based नहीं होती है. There's a lot of elements around it like you said, sales, marketing, which although when we associate CodeNinja as a first time consumer, I would think tech dete hoge, tech services. But like you said, that you sell them and bringing the customers to you. It's a very important point, how to develop a very holistic personality one company can. Right. So let's change it a bit. What was your GPA in GQ?
Okay, GPA. So I was never a good student. मैं GQ में उससे पहले तो I was good. I mean I was okay. इसलिए तो मैं GQ में था. But it was terrible. I mean it's like डिग्री मिल रही थी, बस मुझे भी उन्होंने दे दी, चलो तुम भी चले जाओ. But I had first 2 semester में तो मेरी प्रॉप थी.
Oh.
So I had प्रॉप. अगर थर्ड प्रॉप होती तो I was out of GQ. So और लोगों को लगता है कि शायद फर्स्ट 2 में प्रॉप थी और फिर उसके बाद फिर he learned and नहीं थर्ड में बचाई, फोर्थ में फिर प्रॉप थी. So was like I've never a good student. GK में नहीं था. But I think जो GK का जो उस वक्त का जो GK का जो प्रोग्राम था CS का very diverse. मैं मटेरियल इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ रहा था, मैं मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग का भी कोर्स ले रहा था, मैं पता नहीं क्या. अब so जो holistic view बनता है, तो by the third year I figured it out that with GK I've got a network. मुझे नेटवर्क मिल गया. I can talk to a lot of GK alumni and I want to start a business. I want to start a company. तो वो that was the starting point. लेकिन GPA मेरा बहरहाल, I mean it was very poor. I mean it's like बहुत poor था बहरहाल, ना ही पूछे तो अच्छा.
GPA doesn't matter, guys. Let's put it that way.
It does. I mean it does. मेरा अच्छा नहीं था. अगर आप एसोसिएट करना चाह रहे हैं कि to form a company, I think if I had a good GPA, I would have built CodeNinja much earlier. ये आप उस तरह कह लें. I think it does. GPA मैटर करता है. But कंपनी बनाने के लिए GPA के अलावा शायद और भी बड़ी चीजें.
What factors होते हैं? Hard work, consistency, resilience.
I think hard work एक तो खैर बहुत अच्छा adjective नहीं है. Hard work तो सारी कहते हैं. I think it's more के for company you should have a vision.
ठीक है.
I think if you don't have a vision, then नहीं बनती. I don't think कि फिर आप कंपनी नहीं बना सकते अगर आपको विजन नहीं है. It's very, very hard because every time there's something really going bad, you always refer back to the vision. कि हम कर क्यों रहे थे. अगर वो vision नहीं है तो फिर आप क्या करोगे? Then you would end up confused or frustrated और कहोगे यार छोड़ देते. So I think you should have a vision, must have a vision. Vision नहीं है तो फिर जरूरत नहीं. And if you have a vision, तो उस vision से आपको resilience मिलती है.
बिल्कुल.
You can take up fights. You can do a lot of things. You can. आपको fight तो हर किसी करनी है. अपने घर वालों से सबसे पहले करनी है कि you're gonna start this thing. You're gonna do this. So that's something. कि vision सबसे पहले तो vision है जो why you're doing what you're doing. अगर नहीं पता लग रहा कि vision नहीं है, we don't know. अभी आप graduate हुए हो 5-6 साल में, and you don't know what to work on. So जिस पे Paul Graham Y Combinator के president, he said, do something. Action produces information. Very beautiful concept. Action produces. Do something. For example, कोई चीज पकड़ने, start doing it. I mean, if nothing comes into your mind, so ask this question to yourself: what does it take to build an insanely great product or service? Let's start from there. और उसके बाद take some risks. अगर जॉब कर रहे हैं तो छोड़ें फिर जॉब. Take some risks. Eventually, that's what matters the most. Most of the things you would know down the line कि कैसे वो shape, वो clarity आ जाएगी जिसके बाद आप उसको कह सको, एक नाम दे सको, talk about vision and all that. But the least you can do starting from अगर vision है तो what does it take to build an insanely great organization? That's a good vision to have. Let's see if that gives you motivation to switch, to leave job or whatever you're doing or start after fresh grad के work करना चाह रहे हो. So that's a good enough start. इधर से start करें and then see what problem you can solve, where you can focus और फिर वो vision आपका main बन जाता है.
I think that's a very great point that you've raised. अब जहाँ तक आपने vision की बात की, let's bring forward the question: what is CodeNinja's vision? What do you try and aim to bring in the world? What change are you trying to bring?
So when we started CodeNinja, so we wanted to land up at a point where helping some of the world's most important businesses in global market with their most high priority problems,
right?
And creating job opportunities for this part of the world come together as one holistic outcome. That was a starting point, right? कि हम global markets के अंदर some of the most important businesses हैं कैसे काम करते हैं. What does it take for us to work for some of the world's most important businesses? That was the starting point. उसके बाद हम thought, okay, probably we're going to solve some very important problems. Problems like what does it take to cure or to improve the cancer care, right? What does it take to optimize the world's infrastructure. इस तरह के प्रॉब्लम से हमने फिर स्टार्ट किया और दैट वाज द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट कि हम ये करें. अभी भी breaking through in global market from any offshore place it's insanely hard challenge.
Definitely.
Building a culture that can deliver to some of the world's best businesses, enterprise businesses, Fortune 100, 500, it's an insanely hard problem. People think probably it is more of like you have to solve a product through product or something. Building a company that can solve, that can work for the world's top companies from the services standpoint is a really, really hard challenge. Our current infrastructure in this part in South Asia, outside India, not only in Pakistan, in Middle East, तो Saudi Arabia में भी हैं, even Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. Outside India, वो infrastructure नहीं है services का, where you can serve business like Pfizer, you can serve businesses like Lockheed, all those places, extremely complex problems. That these are problems, but talent है. वो infrastructure बनाना कि वो कैसे बनाना है infrastructure जहाँ पे आप enterprise में serve करें. You don't want to work with सिर्फ startups, बल्कि startups के साथ तो जिस तरह one of the vision we CodeNinja had was we absolutely want to work with enterprises. अब आप कहेंगे it looks very ये क्या बात हुई, आप खुद entrepreneur हैं. It's about that's a very hard problem पाकिस्तान के अंदर. I mean, what does it feel like कि आपके ये 700 किलोमीटर में न्यू दिल्ली में इन्फोसिस का ऑफिस है, वहां पे 5000 बंदा बैठा हुआ है या 50000 बंदा बैठा हुआ है. They are serving literally every business in America which anyone would like to associate their name with वो logos. Why they are not in Pakistan or outside India? What does it take to build a culture, to build an organization जो उनको सर्व कर सके? That's the mission. कि हम उन प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करें, उनको करना कि उनको सॉल्व करके, आई मीन जिस तरह मैं बताया कि सॉल्विंग सम इम्पोर्टेंट प्रॉब्लम. व्हाट डज इट टेक टू सॉल्व और इम्प्रूव वर्ल्ड्स जो उनके जो इनिशिएटिव्स हैं टुवर्ड क्लाइमेट चेंज, इस तरह के प्रॉब्लम्स को कैसे पकड़ना है, उसके लिए आपके पास वो कल्चर होना चाहिए, वो लोग होने चाहिए, वो प्रोसेसेस होने चाहिए, वो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए जो उन प्रॉब्लम्स पे बात कर सकें. सो दैट वाज द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट.
Right.
This vision is at the heart of what we do.
So in serving other enterprises, in finding their problems, if I put in that simple phrase.
Helping some of the most important businesses solve their highest priority problems. I don't want कि कोई भी बंदा पाकिस्तान में इस वजह से काम करे कि पाकिस्तान cheap है, low cost. Absolutely not. They want to work with Pakistani engineers the way they treat Palantir, C3.ai, वो company. They want to work with a company that happen to be born out of Pakistan, but they're at the extreme cutting edge. जब मैंने engineers के साथ पाकिस्तान में काम किया, खुद भी, for example, NetSol है, NetSol is serving some of the top businesses.
Definitely.
वो कैसे कर रही है? मैं खुद 8-9 साल रहा हूँ. So I think that's the services level. तो चले product है NetSol, services में that thing is missing, and that was a goal. कि how can I contribute there? So that was the starting point.
That was the birth of a vision. It's very important to be socially and environmentally aware of all the gaps you can find and hopefully take it forward to build something as exclusive as CodeNinja. So CodeNinja की जब बात होती है, you have recently also secured a $1.6 million investment too, and काफी खबरें फैली उस बारे में. And in the core of it, when I got to know that I will be hosting for CodeNinja, the first term that came into mind was artificial intelligence. That's one thing that you guys have embedded and are known for. And if I put in a very simple definition, artificial intelligence is something that historically can do human tasks, make decisions, and do reasoning or solve problems without the interference of a human. What is agentic AI? What does that play in the role in AI?
So, उसमें थोड़ा सा पहले I want to talk about that $1.6 million investment in Sai Capital basically is. So one of the things is that I still reach out to a lot of people. LinkedIn के ऊपर I do most of the sales myself.
Right.
जो जितने भी business में मैं खुद ही सेल कर रहा हूँ. One of the things is कि founders have to be salesmen. They have to be. No one can sell in the early days other than the founders. So it's not like कि आपने one of the lessons what I've learned is it's not like कि आप अपने critical roles पे कोई senior बंदे को ले आओगे. Founder have to do sales themselves. So while I was doing sales, I reached out once Essen, जो कि Sai के founding partner है, and I reached him out and I said, "Okay, I'd love to introduce myself and business and all that." He replied after 6 months. He said,
"After 6 months."
After 6 months, it happens in sales, right? He said, "मुझे मिलो," and I met him. Hassan is basically a Pakistani American, and he's a great guy, visionary, probably. So ये जो enterprise की जब मैं इतनी बात कर रहा हूँ, ये जो solidify हुई जब मैं Hassan के साथ मिला. So Hassan worked for those companies, जिन companies को हम चाहते हैं कि हम close करें as our customer. Hassan worked for those companies, right. And he used to write checks for businesses like Infosys and Tata.
Oh.
So he has always been on that side
On
of
that
the table
front end,
where
yeah.
he used to write checks to companies are doing. So वैसे जिन companies को जिन लोगों को मैं reach out करना चाह रहा था, एसन उसी तरह का बंदा. But Essen had a vision. Essen had a very clear vision कि पाकिस्तान की services stack को, services companies को enterprise तक कैसे पहुंचाना. Because while he totally agree कि पाकिस्तान का जो engineer है, he believed in it. He knew the people who were working from Infosys and TCS and all those. He knew कि पाकिस्तान की engineering capability तो वो है, लेकिन वो infrastructure missing है, processing missing है. So Essen ने अभी जब से हमें investment हमें raise की, so Essen wanted कि हम वो processes और infrastructure बनाएं, जहाँ पे हम raw talent को तो लें, लेकिन वो process infrastructure आए जहाँ पे हम उन businesses को serve कर सकें. So that was the starting point. So फिर Essen ने कहा कि when we met, उसने कहा यार ये तो he's also talking about enterprise businesses and all that, and there we met. और फिर Essen ने कहा, imagine I just reached him out. Actually, I was reaching him out to be on a podcast with me. So right, just आप करो. So and he said, I want to invest in CodeNinja. Yeah, I mean we clicked, and he actually helped us. एक तो ना सिर्फ investment, one of our major customer. I mean, because to close enterprise, not कि मैं आया हूँ और मैं enterprise को दूँ. Essen was part of my sales journey, जहाँ पे हमने अपने पहला major GCC enterprise customer को close किया. So Essen was part of it. So he is not only Sai ने हमें सिर्फ check लिख के दे दिया Essen ने. Essen is doing actively sales with me. I mean, he's doing most of the sales with me. Now, because so that's what it is. और मुझे लगता है कि Sai has played a very important role. Essen इस तरह ओपनली कहते तो नहीं है मुझे, बट आई थिंक मुझे जितना साई के बारे में उनके बारे में मेंशन करना चाहिए कि जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है CodeNinja में, इट्स नॉट जस्ट एन इन्वेस्टमेंट के 1.6 ले लिया, या इट्स मोर ऑफ लाइक द एक्टिव रोल दे प्ले, स्पेशली एसन उसकी टीम. सो ह्यूज पार्ट, और उसी से ही हमें शिफ्ट मिला, वी गॉट सम कैपिटल कि हम CodeNinja को अब एक स्टाफ और प्योरली उससे शिफ्ट करें प्योरली एंटरप्राइज एआई कंपनी.
Right.
That was a shift. Okay, we had some money now. We could afford some great engineers. We could afford some internal product development. जो हमें जिसको use करके हम enterprise AI में जाए. So we started as a digital marketing company, became a software services company. Now we are on a path to become the next Palantir. Think of next Palantir or C3.ai, born out of South Asia and Middle East, especially from Pakistan. So that's the goal. वो जो shift है सारा वो साई की वजह से आया. So that was where we started working on AI and working on some of the with some of the most important businesses in high priority problems. So that was a shift. Now you talk about agentic AI. जी. Agentic AI basically जो है वो think about what is AI or generally do you use ChatGPT? अब use करते हो?
हर project, हर assignment, हर quiz.
So simple way to understand is think about like writing a ChatGPT and saying give me a essay on Donald Trump, let's say. जी. आप ये कह देते हो, वो आपको ऐसे लिख के दे देता. That is one way of looking at it. The second is think about is like you have ChatGPT and you have Claude and you have Gemini and you have all these 5-6 platforms.
And DeepSeek भी आ गया अब तो.
DeepSeek. And now you know one thing. You think DeepSeek is very good in making the outline of the essay.
Yes.
And then you think Claude is very good in one part. ChatGPT is incredible in conclusion, right? So you build an orchestration layer where you have 5-6 different agents. एक agent आपको outline बना के देता है. That's how human works. पहले आप outline बनाते हो, फिर कोई headings लिखते हैं, कोई किसी चीज में अच्छा है, कोई किसी चीज में कोई conclusion, and then there's an orchestration layer. वो इन सारे agents को इनसे response लेता है, इसको consolidate करता है और आपको spin करता है a response, an essay on Donald Trump. So this is basically called agentic. So this is an agentic AI. And what's very surprising is कि आप ChatGPT को improve करते जाएं, performance में improve करते जाएं. A 90% of ChatGPT performance can be attained by an agentic AI that is 43-42% good. So you can do a lot more with agentic using, of course, these platforms. So that is basically agentic. ये तो एक definition है. It's very crude. But generally, agentic is all about goals.
All right.
Goal driven. So think about it like you task a piece of software, उसको कहो कि जाओ ये काम करो, और वो आपको उसका रिस्पॉन्स लाके आपके सामने वो दे दे के दैट्स इट विद वेरी मिनिमल ह्यूमन इनपुट. So this is called this is a real world example of it. And इसको एजेंटिक को आप ये कह लो कि the company Palantir जिसका मैं बता रहा हूँ, Palantir actually talking about it, not they didn't give it the name agent, वो term नहीं agentic AI थी, but they covered it under the umbrella of situational intelligence. So agentic AI is a tool as a deployment framework to attain the situational intelligence. So that is what agentic AI. This is the least
the root level
non-technical I can explain. उसके बाद फिर tech.
Great. So CodeNinja has been utilizing this technology to develop practical solutions. Do you think in Pakistan के बाकी जो government है आपकी industry
कर रहे हैं government के साथ ऐसे काम
चल रहा है काम? अच्छा.
और agentic AI पे हमने propose किया है to a very I won't name but to a government, provincial government to solve a very incredible use case. It's very very exciting and to my surprise our government is pretty cutting edge. I mean जो bureaucracy है they're brilliant people. बल्कि मैं one of the DG से जब मैं they understand they said we would love to do it. पहले तो I mean I think वो जो एक हमारा आइडिया था कि गवर्नमेंट and all that I think we're surprised कि they understand what we are trying to achieve. They understand the technology pretty advanced. So I'm very excited about the use case.
It's big news for me and I think the whole of the audience get under the carpet सब कुछ चल रहा है even in the government Pakistan. So Pakistan will inshallah be the next big tech.
I mean, especially there are two parts. One is government, one is defense.
Yes.
Defense की भी बात है पाकिस्तान में. अगर if you want to see the extreme cutting edge, वो तो पाकिस्तान defense है. Avionics. I mean, JF-17 Block 3 देखें आप, उसकी avionics देखें. I mean, how the hell a country जो गाड़ी तो नहीं बनाता, fighter jet बनाता है, और फिर उसको use करता है as a export diplomacy. So there are a lot of things going on. It's not like कि हमें कह रहे हैं कि government है नहीं है. I mean, of course, very selective. We're very careful. But I think there are a lot of good things happening. Though a very small piece of our revenue comes from Pakistan. वो थोड़ा सा ये मतलब single digits में है शायद, उससे भी कम है. But I'm very excited about working with the government.
Very exciting news. अच्छा, तो आपने गवर्नमेंट के साथ भी काम कर लिया, अपना आपके एजेंटिक AI और all over its vision भी है. Do you think कि AI is replacing education too? In the sense कि is it making very easy for us कि हम learning उस तरीके से process कर पा रहे हैं students? Should it be included in the education curriculum in that sense? Doesn't it take away something from us? The human intellect that we usually think about before writing something, going on about something, we just rather chat GPT out. वो हमको आउटलाइन है तो उसको हम डेवलप कर लेते हैं further. What's your input?
I think it would supercharge overall the human capability to acquire knowledge. जो बहुत exciting use case है. Think about periodic tables. आप तो think about periodic table. मैं बात कर रहा हूँ कि for example think about someone in 5th 6th class और वो periodic table को try to understand. ये क्या है ये table सा और ये कह रहे हैं कि ये helium है और hydrogen. What the hell this is, right?
Exactly.
Teacher आया, एक अच्छा स्कूल था, उसने आगे बता दिया ये periodic table है जी, ये सब नहीं. And for example think about a guy came in, यार मुझे तो नहीं पता लगा ये क्या है, right? क्योंकि हमारा जो इस वक्त एजुकेशन है वो सबके लिए सेम ही है ना, स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड प्रोसेस है. वो कहते हैं यार मुझे समझ नहीं है, टेल मी व्हाट इज प्रायोरिटी, एंड आई एम 3rd grader 5th grader. वो उसको आपको बताएगा आप चैट जीपीटी के व्हाट डज इट मीन, ये क्या है, नहीं मुझे समझ नहीं. द ब्यूटीफुल पार्ट इज उसको गुस्सा नहीं आता चैट जीपीटी का, राइट? आप पूछो एंड टू योर सरप्राइज इवन यू हैवंट ट्राइड. ऑल आई एम टॉकिंग टू ऑलमोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल कि जब हम आए हैं I studied a lot after my degree. मैं physics को बहुत पढ़ा, tried to brush up my concept. मैं फिर बहुत आगे जाऊँगा. इस वक्त हम जो major startups हैं, जो हमारे major जो initiatives हैं, जो product ideas हैं, वो around physics और AI के intersection पे. So you need to have very good understanding of physics. And I'm talking to some of the most smartest people जो physics में काम कर रहे हैं, postdocs हैं, in some of the great MITs and all that. तो physics की understanding जो मुझे लगता है जिसके पास नहीं है, बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट्स नहीं है, आज भी नहीं है, आफ्टर ग्रेजुएशन नहीं पता लगता उनको कि यार ये रॉकेट कैसे एंड ऑल दैट, गो टॉक टू चैट जीपीटी, एक बार देखो तो सही. आप हैरान हो गए कि वो आपके कॉन्सेप्ट्स को कैसे ठीक करेगा, राइट? उसकी वजह ये है कि इस वक्त जो चैलेंज है हमसे पूछा नहीं जाता टीचर से बहुत दफा कि हमें समझ नहीं आई. हाउ वुड यू से कि नहीं आई भाई, नहीं आई, उसने 50 दफा बता दिया नहीं आई. it's not about कि आप कोई dumb, it's just about कि everyone has different journeys to acquire knowledge. Some were early on, घर का environment ऐसा था, वो अच्छा teacher मिल गया, mathematics को थोड़ी सी अच्छी होगी, कुछ natural tendency, DNA में भी कुछ आ रहा होता है. So all those things. But it's not, I mean, that should not be the reason. ये जो चीज है कि अगर आपको वो चीजें नहीं मिली कि आपके फिजिक्स अच्छी ना हो, you must have very good understanding of physics, chemistry, math. और वो I think huge upside for government कि आप अपने schools में deploy करें, find out agentic क्या है, workflows के किस तरह इस it's an incredible power. Intelligence, AI is an incredible power. उसको कैसे use करें to make everyone by the time वो 10th में आता है कि उनकी they can perform any level of experiment. They can build small rockets. ये possible है. That's because और मुझे लगता है बहुत ज्यादा scope क्या मैं you would see it happening right in front of you. मैं चाहता हूँ कि wait ना करना पड़े किसी का कि पहले कोई करके दिखाए, लाइक साल खान जो खान अकेडमी वो करके दिखाए. खान अकेडमी बाय द वे जो पाकिस्तान आ चुके हैं, उनका उस्मान राशिद, ग्रेट एंटरप्रेन्योर, CEO ऑफ कॉन्गो, ही ब्रॉट खान अकेडमी टू पाकिस्तान. अब नाउ खान अकेडमी आई थिंक दे गोना अटेम्प्ट दिस प्रॉब्लम एंड दैट्स वेरी वेरी एक्साइटिंग. मैं तो बहुत होपफुल हूँ. अब ये तो वो अर्ली ऑन जो जब आप अपना मैट्रिक कर रहे हो, ओ लेवल अब ओ लेवल वालों के कॉन्सेप्ट्स रिलेटिवली ओके होते हैं, ठीक होते हैं, अच्छे होते हैं. मैट्रिक वालों के लिए उनका जर्नी उस तरह नहीं बनता. वो जर्नी मेडवा को बनेगा, अब बनेगा. आई थिंक आई एम वेरी एक्साइटेड. एक तो ये चीज है. दूसरा जो अंडर ग्रेड है या जो ग्रेड है वहां पे उसका एआई का क्या रोल. आई थिंक वहां पे वी नीड टू हाउ मेनी पीपल आर टेकिंग डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स. बहुत सारे लोग उनको में से समझ कितनी आ रही है किसी को. मतलब हाउ मेनी पीपल आर टेकिंग फॉर एग्जांपल course on differential equations. Even in undergrad, people don't know what to make out of differential equations. They don't know. They try to learn. कि ये, I mean, I think I want to tell them is कि जो hardest problem of differential equation का वही है जो आप solve कर रहे हैं. वही है. That's solving the equation ही hardest part है. But you can see what's going on the edges. वो आ जाएगा तो आपको पता भी लग जाएगा deploy क्या है. Deploy कहाँ है. So I think उधर भी I think एक तो there is a huge scope. मेरा ख्याल है one of the top area जहाँ पे AI would play a lot of role is education and healthcare. ये दो चीजें हैं. Just imagine AI की अगर मैं बात करूँ, just imagine you have a guy next to you as your co-pilot. He's the smartest guy. He's Aristotle or whatever you think of at your service. Ask him whatever you want. And the best part is that he can teach at the level of कि जिस तरह एक third, fourth grader को पढ़ाते हैं. So that's what AI is very powerful in education. So I'm very hopeful. Future is exciting. We are in the most exciting times ever on the planet. ये वो time है. So make the most out of it.
That brings me to the next question, a very dying question for the youth of everywhere. Will AI replace coders in the future? Or I think it has.
So ज़ुकरबर्ग ने तो अपने जो रोगन के भी जिस तरह पॉडकास्ट में कहा कि मिड लेवल इंजीनियर फेसबुक में हम रिप्लेस कर देंगे AI से. So yes, मुझे लगता है कि it's not about replacing. Software engineers would work on a higher value problems. इस वक्त तो सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स का है वो they know how to write code, but there are two problems. They don't know the domain. Okay. So what does it mean to be a great software engineer for banking? अब उसमें यह है कि वो बैंक में फिर आपने 5-7 साल काम किया हो, 8 साल 9 साल, you know how banking works. एक तो ये एरिया है कि डोमेन कंप्यूटिंग जिसको कहते हैं कि हाउ टू मेक. मुझे लगता है हायर वैल्यू प्रॉब्लम्स पे जाएंगे. सो राइट जस्ट स्पिनिंग अ कोड वॉन्ट बी इनफ. यू हैव टू हैव knowledge of the problem you are trying to solve. So it would, I think it's very exciting that this thing would bring them into a consulting world while they are doing the job. So every software engineer would be a software engineering consultant for a lack of better words. So that would be their job. And second, the biggest मुझे लगता है इसमें जो margin है, imagine everyone says कि यार पाकिस्तान में ऊपर के तो या in this part of the world ऊपर के तो 5-6% software engineers बहुत अच्छे हैं जी. But what about the 94% जो पीछे रह गए, right? Imagine what does it take for, rather than कि आप हर किसी को software engineer बनाएं AI से, what does it take for the bottom 90% of the software developers as good as top 10%? What does it take? इस पे exactly CodeNinja खुद काम कर रहा है. We have a product called Hyper. वो exactly इस चीज को ये solve कर रहा है. And one of the thing is that, and we got inspiration from this again मैं Alex को Palantir किसी को ले आया. What does it take for a young software developer जिसको 5-6 माह हुए workplace पे आए हुए to position satellites on top of Europe to find out what crops are likely to have most yields. It's a very complex problem. But what does it take a relatively inexperienced young software developers to solve kar de? That's the kind of a problem we are trying to solve with Hyper. कि हम enterprise को उनकी एक तो complex problem को relatively younger developers के साथ solve करवाएं. That's exactly what Palantir is. And that's one thing. And second, how can we speed code, like engineering velocity को कैसे increase करें? What everyone can think of in 6 months, how can we do it in 10 hours? So let me give you a story. हम एक government के साथ ही want again एक और government provincial government के साथ काम कर रहे थे. They reached us out. Government की थोड़ी चीजें आती हैं. They want to launch. They just want to launch. With this some involvement. Yes. There are a lot of media मेरा ख्याल होता है and all those things. So they want to launch. They reached us out and they said, can we do this in a month? And they were talking to a lot of businesses. And we said yes. और बाकी किसी ने नहीं कहा. And we said yes, we can. And the reason we said, in traditional ways, it would take जो traditional software development like 6-8 month लगने थे, शायद साल लग जाता. We did it in 1 month, in 3 weeks actually, with one developer and using Hyper. And that developer is a really inexperienced developer. So huge upside. But I think people would solve. There are so many problems to solve. So many problems. They would solve higher value problems. Software engineers are going to say, I think software engineers are going to make a lot of money.
Oh, good news for you. And what's one perception that you would like to raise about AI? If I could bring you that misconception. It's misconception. One thing I want people to know about AI, I think not about misconception. I think I would say is that
hop on. It's probably the most important technology ever built by the mankind on the planet Earth. Hop on. Don't miss it. This is amazing. I mean, so no need to. I mean, it's like AI is going to do a lot of work जो traditional नहीं हो पा रहा. I think there will be some job replacement. But I think so much. मैं आमिर हुसैन he's a great entrepreneur, Pakistani entrepreneur. उनको सुन रहा था. Think about what's the purpose of mankind, right? जैसे कुरान में भी जिस तरह उन्होंने बताया कि और मैंने इनको नाम सिखाए. अल्लाह ताला जब मुकालमा करें, मैंने नाम सिखाए. Learn. There's so much to learn in the world, in the vast intellect. So much to learn. So forget about के there would be nothing for the humans to do. There would be a lot of things to do. Search would always be there. And I think we have a technology that can make that search possible. And I think it's extremely exciting thing to hop on to AI. Whatever your future goals are, whatever your vision is, you want to build a company, you want to work for the company, you want to solve a problem, you want to treat cancer. The tool is AI and you hop onto it. AI is the future. Yeah. I mean, it's the present. It's the present. Yeah. Very rightly said. And let's bring that back to CodeNinja. What do you think you would be achieving in the next 5-10 years? What are your milestones and initiatives that you would like to work on over the next 5-10 years? इस वक्त 3 most important problems हैं जिसमें हम काम कर रहे हैं. Number 1 is how can we accelerate the commercialization of academic AI research? So, okay. Because if you want to solve hard problems in AI, you need to bring some of the smartest people. So, for example, we're trying to partner with RadioLUMS, right? We are partnered with KAUST, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. We're raising an AI lab in University of Oxford. All right. So, the Pakistanis are everywhere, right? But the great thing around there, we just need to build a structure कि आप उनको academic AI research को लेके कैसे. Once they are working on cutting edge. But हमारी engineering capability तो already we are engineers in Pakistan, right? Or in Middle East. पहला प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हम यूनिवर्सिटी की जो एकेडमिक या रिसर्च है उसको वर्कप्लेस पे लेकर आए. That's the first thing. And yes, I think in next 5 years, see when we are working with some of the most important businesses in the world, we'll be working very high priority problems sitting in Pakistan. Right? That's the number one thing. वो bridge कर रहे हैं. वो अलग है. That's one. Secondly, we're super focused on some of the IPS. जिस तरह मैंने Hyper की बात की. What does it take for bottom 90% developers as well as top 10%? I am all in some workplace training. लेकिन मतलब CodeNinja में वर्कप्लेस ट्रेनिंग, बट आई थिंक इस प्रॉब्लम को बॉटम 90 को 10% से सॉल्व करना टू मेक देम एज गुड एज टॉप 10% इज नॉट अ ट्रेनिंग.
Right.
You need to solve. This is a problem of learning curve. वो किसी को आपने वो चीज AI को यूज करते हुए आप उस चीज को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. So I think that's what. Imagine currently people think पाकिस्तान अगर 25,000 डेवलपर ग्रेजुएट हो रहा है या 25,000 डेवलपर या 1 लाख डेवलपर whatever, उसमें से 1,000 डेवलपर्स हैं जो सिर्फ इंटरनेशनली बिजनेसेस के साथ 10,000 जो काम करते हैं. What does it take to bring all of them, enable them enough कि वो काम कर सकें. अभी लर्निंग को खत्म करते हैं विदाउट ट्रेनिंग्स, क्योंकि ट्रेनिंग इज वेरी स्लो. वो फिर 6 माह लगाएंगे, 2 साल लगाएंगे. So the fundamental जो mental leap है, that's what we're trying to achieve, वो hyper. And second, for enterprise, because again I said it's nothing for CodeNinja it's not for entrepreneurs. It's not like for startup ideas and all that. We want to crack enterprise, and we have already done it. So how can we make it super fast for enterprises in US, in Middle East, to build these AI workflows in hours, not in months. That's the goal. So ये दूसरी चीज है hyper. Third is one of the thing is we want to break through in all global markets and make hyper localized companies. So CodeNinja America is very different in CodeNinja Pakistan.
Yes.
CodeNinja Middle East is already very different. So this is the third thing कि किस तरह वो break through करें, किस तरह वो sales और engineering sales के structure को raise करें. So when you combine all these things, you have a great company that can really solve some high value problems. That's what we are trying to achieve in next 5 years.
We can't wait to look forward to it.
Inshallah.
And last question, but not the least, for the LUMS community and generally all students out there studying and rising entrepreneurs in Pakistan and across the world, what advice would you give them to carve a similar path like you did with CodeNinja and the different technology innovations, and of course be a part of the startup climate? Is there something that you could one advice that you could give them, and how could they contribute to Pakistan's growing tech industry?
CodeNinja में अगर मैं CodeNinja की बात करूँ, there are a lot of LUMS people. हमें इसके तो देख लिए हमारे और to a point के बहुत ज़्यादा LUMS को prefer करते हैं, which I always like to disagree. बहरहाल, so I think LUMS का जो talent है, it's great. But I think हम आपको अल्लाह ताला ने अगर ये opportunity दी है, सबसे पहले to all the LUMS students, हम जब जीकी में पढ़ते थे, लेकिन जो लाइक बंदा है ना, उसने हर जगह आगे निकलना.
बिल्कुल.
वो किसी भी जगह पे है, वो आगे निकल ही जाएगा. अगर आप लम्स में हो, मुझे लगता है कि फिर आपको दूसरों की ये अपॉर्चुनिटीज ही क्रिएट करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि आपको फिर आप यू हैव अ वेरी स्पेशलाइज्ड वर्क ये एनवायरनमेंट है लम्स का. फैकल्टी बहुत अच्छी है, नेटवर्क बहुत स्ट्रांग है अलुमनाई का.
जी.
So I think एक तो ये कि there is a lot of responsibility on shoulders जो LUMS के students हैं. उनको पहले तो ये they should understand what is expected of them, right? Either they should work for companies like CodeNinja to help us solve these problems,
yes,
जिनकी हम बात करें, या build their own business. That should be the expected. Not do pedestrian mediocre work.
ज़माना चला गया.
नहीं चला नहीं गया. I mean LUMS, yeah, especially LUMS. It's not supposed to do that. I mean कोई और तो ठीक है, आप देखें ना आप पे खर्चा कितना हो रहा है. अगर आपने भी ये करना है तो फिर there is no difference. और दूसरी ये चीज के जो I mean I think either work with any company that has a vision or build your own company early on. लेकिन it's always good to have some level of experience once you let me tell you a story again. So for 8-9 years I worked for NetSol.
जी.
और जो हमने पहला एंटरप्राइज कस्टमर क्लोज किया, very relevant to the work I did in NetSol, and how Allah Pak connects the dots. And I was sitting in front of that guy, and exactly वही चीज थी जो 9 साल में करता रहा. And जब आपने वही चीज की, मैंने उसको कहा कि इस चीज के लिए no one can do better than us, because I am that guy. और फिर जब आए, इसलिए मैं जो जॉब्स कर रहे हैं लोग always have very good working relationships. और लगता तो है जिस तरह के entrepreneur all that early जो CodeNinja की फाउंडेशन है, वो जो मेरे कोलीग जो नेटसोल में थे, उनको ही मैं लेकर आया to help them build. So मेरा रिलेशनशिप था तो वो है ना सारे. बिल्कुल. So I think my 8-9 years in NetSol is a reason I was able to build CodeNinja. उसकी वजह है कि बहुत in terms of maturity भी, went off from my network भी. It's not like कि आपने सेल ही करनी है. You need those engineers who gonna work for you, who trust you, who say कि हाँ यार ये बंदा अच्छा है. और मेरी एक रेपुटेशन नेटसोल में भी थी, वो रेपुटेशन आपकी अच्छी ही होनी चाहिए। ऑलवेज हैव वेरी गुड वर्किंग रिलेशनशिप। को मैं देखता हूँ लोग बहुत ज्यादा फटे भी ले रहते हैं वक्त पे। हैव अ वेरी गुड रिलेशनशिप ताकि जब जरूरत पड़े, स्पेशली अगर आपके एंटरप्रेन्योर एम्बिशंस हैं, जिस तरह मुख्तार भी जो सी होंगे, अपने पाँव पे पत्थर ना बांधें। हर बंदे के साथ अच्छा रिलेशनशिप रखें, बिकॉज यू गोना नीड देम। कंपनी कुछ नहीं है सवाए लोग।
True.
दवारें शवारें कुछ नहीं।
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much, Umar, for your time, valuable time, and incredible insights today. It has a lot to offer to everyone out there, and we have learned a lot about agentic AI itself and the future of technology in education and the latest developments in Pakistan and across the world. So, guys, इस ट्रेंड पे चढ़ जाओ जितनी जल्दी चढ़ सकते हो। Future यही है, present यही है, past भी यही है. With that note, I'll end it. Thank you.